welcome to another episode of our show. How's every single one of you? Ready to talk about the last match from Ric Flair, Nature Boy? A lot of people, had a lot of expectations. This closes like the weekend for SummerSlam. Yesterday we had that video. Thank you for everybody that joined. Thank you for especially to Cage My IQ. He was actually interacting with us. Really cool stuff. Don't forget we have the video on the channel. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, all of that action, and he retains. The big dog is still the undisputed champion. But Paul, Ric Flair cannot say that he's done. Remember the match at 008 with Shawn Michaels? So it's my last match. I'm done. No, he went to TNA, had like 3 more years and stuff. So finally, we hope that he's finally done. 73 years old.
Yeah, no, I think with what you saw tonight, everything that went on with this, you would think he has to be done. This ain't something like when the last time we saw Taker and we go, maybe he has another run in him, or Stone Cold. When we saw Austin, even this, WrestleMania, we thought, okay, yeah, maybe Austin has another 4 or 5 matches in him. Ric Flair, you're like, no. WrestleMania 24, take me back there. That's what it should have been done.
That's what it should have been. Absolutely.
Yeah, but we had this match, and they really, they hyped it up. It was a big thing, and did it live up to the expectation? I really don't think that that's a yes or no. I don't think that'll be the same for everybody. What was your expectation? Ric Flair's 70-some years old?
It was just like you said. For example, is a way to for him to live, under his own terms, on his own.
That's the only thing about this is it's cool because it was Ric Flair having essentially a send off that he was in. You could say full creative control over.
Yes. Exactly.
Because he was the one that said, yes, I want to do this kind of memorabilia. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, I want to do that. I want to have my family. Nobody was going to tell him no, unless he said, can I whip my thing out like I did in the helicopter or the airplane? Then they'd be like, no, don't do that, Rick. But otherwise,
no, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. So, before we just go to the main match, let's just start just by going, so some of the matches that we actually had the chance to see and talk about. For example, this one, I feel that it was a really good match, and that was Killer Kross or Karrion Kross with Scarlett against David Boy Smith Jr. MLW, a lot of expectations. I pretty much go over the match, Paul, because I want you to answer me. Do you see Karrion Kross with Triple H coming back to the WWE?
That's so tough to say. I don't think everybody's going to go, they're not going to burn their hand on the stove, pull it back, and then immediately touch the hot stove again. They're going to wait a little bit, I think. Nobody's going to jump right back into WWE after getting screwed over. At least not right away. You would be smart not to. But, I think some of these people will. Like you saw the Io Shirai, Dakota Kai. Some of them, Io was still on the roster. But you see people going, okay, maybe giving this a chance now. And, some of these people I do think will. But
he got to win also. He's still good. And you know that, the Karrion Kross that we saw in NXT, that was a guy that could have go against Roman Reigns, could have gone against anybody. And especially if they would have given more character development to Scarlett, it would have been great. But like you said, unfortunately, Vince McMahon put his hands on Karrion Kross, and it was done from the beginning. But like you said, maybe at some point, if Triple H gets more, more acquainted of what the role and everything, I can see that he could be a potential guy to go for that. So, what do you think? What do you close with this match?
Yeah, Karrion Kross, our Killer Kross, whatever. I do think the guy had that potential, but just misusing WWE.
Exactly. So we'll see, Rachel Ellering and Jordynne Grace and Deonna Purrazzo. Here, we knew that the title was not going to change hands. They did this just to cross-promote. I think Impact does this, Paul, because, hey, a lot of eyes are going to be here. How about, we show our product, show our people, and then, they can give us a chance later on. So that's what I think. And Jordynne Grace has been having a good run as long as she keeps her mouth shut. Because when she starts, with her arrogance and all of that stuff, as a wrestler, I will never deny that she's very, talented and everything. But whenever she opens her mouth, that's a different story.
Yeah, and this match, it was the only women's match on the card. Showcase, the 3 women, and, Rachel Ellering, she's not bad either. Deanna's great. We always sing her praises, and obviously Jordynne Grace is, very talented as well. But Ellering's not bad. I think she kind of has, even though she's big and, has the size and the strength, almost kind of like that underdog. Every time she's in a match, you kind of go, you're pulling for her. I think she has that underdog type vibe, but she's not, like I said, not bad either. But yeah, Jordynne Grace gets the win here. I think it's submission. I think it was.
Yeah.
On
and
Rachel Ellering.
Rachel Ellering got injured at the beginning of the match. and then she continued till the end. So like we gotta give her props to that. Good stuff, like you said. Jaren Grace is like still the Impact Women's Champion. Deanna probably AEW. I don't know how long she has on her contract. She's gonna get married really soon, so probably a little bit of time off. But good stuff right there. Like you said, Jordan is great, and unfortunately, like maybe her personality is not. So like that's something that it would be cool if she could change that. But Paul, let's talk about now this match, because this one was also really, really good. And this is Joseph Alexander against Jacob Fatou for the Impact Championship. Joseph Alexander shows you that like he never needed Ethan Page for anything. And Jacob Fatou is really popular on MLW, feuding against Alexander Hammerstone. So this was a good match, but in the end we got to see Matt Cardona and also like DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, like getting involved and all of that. So it was a disqualification, a little bit different. They had a lot of people that love Ric Flair, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this was just, a lot of this stuff, a lot of these matches. I don't want to be mean and say none of them meant anything, but a lot of them didn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like they were on the show, but no major title was going to switch hands.
Yes.
Nobody was going to have a major storyline play out here. You're going to see little stuff like this here. Maybe Cardona's going to go after Alexander when he comes back because he's no longer NWA champ. Maybe he's going to go after the Impact Championship. Who knows? But, again, there's nothing real serious going on here. So, I mean, good matches and everything here and there. But, I mean, I like Jacob Fatou. I wish a major company would sign him. Even if it's Impact, that's at least somebody. And he can maybe appear on AEW and stuff because he's so good and he deserves to be on a better show than MLW.
And also we saw, one of the greatest tag teams right now that they have one of the best matches, so far in the year, the Briscoes going against the Von Erichs. This was just more cross promotional because the Briscoes became popular also in MLW. And the Briscoe and also like the Von Erichs, like the popularity, the lineage, the heritage that they have. And the Briscoes won because that they will not lose on pay-per-view twice in a month. You know that, right, Paul? There was no
exactly.
after that match with FTR.
Yeah, this match was good because, like you said, it shows, okay, here are the Von Erichs, and how they're, like you said, the lineage and how they can, especially with Ric Flair, all the Von Erichs and stuff. So, it was good to have them on the show. Pretty good match here with the Briscoes. But like you said, it was quick. It got the Briscoes over because they needed to get that good, strong win after losing to FTR.
Exactly. So like that's what it was. So we got to see also a lot of people like the sending message to Ric Flair, Jim Ross, Shawn Michaels, Sting, Nick Nemeth, like for a lot of people, Dolph Ziggler, they know him as that. That was cool. Like a lot of people saying like how much they love Ric Flair, all of that. We got to see also right there first row or front row like Undertaker, Mankind, or Mick Foley and Michelle McCool and the Undertaker's daughter. That was like, to me, this was actually, so you didn't even mention in the speech of the Hall of Fame.
That's what I was just gonna say that, like right when like the lights dimmed, did he lean over and whisper in Taker's ear like, so why didn't you mention me? It hurt my feelings.
Yeah, it's like okay, you don't say anything about the Hell in the Cell.
Or like right when the lights go out, he gives him the fucking mandible claw like nah.
That would have been cool, like at the lights go up and it's like nah, and all of that. But a lot of people that absolutely love Ric Flair, big fans, and also like had a great matches with him. They show up to show support and everything. But let's go to talk about like the main event: Andrade el Idolo, Cien Almas, and Ric Flair. Son-in-law and father-in-law going against Jay Lethal, best friends with Ric Flair. That's why I remember that big promo on Impact. Woo, woo, woo! And Jeff Jarrett. Feel that like Jeff Jarrett was a good opponent for Ric Flair because he could carry him, and they had a good story with the promo, how they passed him open and all of that. So I feel that was like what they needed to do because, like you said, this is all about Ric Flair. That's what it was, the guy.
And they sold Ric Flair in this, and if you could, I mean, before we talk about the match here, like you have the picture. I mean, this was great. He comes out in the white robe, and one thing to make noted, he wanted Jim Ross to call his last match. But JR said with the flying and everything else, if he doesn't have to, especially with, flying far, it's not good with his surgery, with his cancer and everything. So he apologized, but that's why he didn't do it. So it was Shivani and Crockett Jr. or whoever. And
yes,
and I'm sorry, Crockett Jr. whatever, but he sucks. He was awful at commentary. It's bad when Shivani's the best person, but
out of the two, yeah, if Tony Shivani is even better.
This was. He came out, he had the white robe on, looked good, open it up. There you see the big gold belt, which they even said, that belt is owned by Conrad Thompson, his son-in-law. So he owns that belt. And we're going to talk about Conrad in a little bit. He got involved in the match, but I mean, this was cool. We saw Ric Flair with the shirt on. That was a little weird at first, like, huh? But
you don't want to see the tits
exactly.
saggy tits and all of that. You don't want to see that.
He was still styling and profiling, but he comes out with the big gold on, the white robe. It looked cool, and in the match, it was good because Jeff Jarrett, every time he was in, and he would maybe want to go against Cien Almas, or but when Flair tagged in, maybe he would tag out. Or, he would cheap shot Flair, and then he would do the Fargo strut. And then, every time Flair would come in and do a chop, and Flair would do the strut, I mean, it was over. It sold it. People loved it. The high spots were obviously Andrade and Jay Lethal. They were the ones that were going at it, got a little bit of excitement. Went to the outside. Flair got busted open. I didn't see the exact spot where he got busted open, but I know when Flair was blading himself, they went over to the family and they were jaw-jacking with the family. Karen, almost said Karen Angle, Karen Jarrett,
but at some point she was Karen Angle.
So she got over in the face of Conrad's wife, and she was yelling at her and all this stuff. Then it cuts back to Flair and he's covered in blood, so what he was doing while that was going on, slice.
Yep,
But
but
I mean, this was good. Eventually, the ref got taken out, big bump and everything. Big move on Flair. They go to pin him. Andrade breaks it up. It starts going. Starts breaking loose. They get brass knuckles from Conrad. Flair uses them, punches out Jeff Jarrett. They get him into figure four like that. The ref eventually gets up. And see, I wish Jeff would have, tapped out. But, he was laying there. He was done. Flair was done. But Flair technically had the submission on him, even though Flair's shoulders were on the mat too. But I guess Flair was, the one who was making the cover. 1, 2, 3. Ric Flair wins his last match. So, I mean, hey, if you love Ric Flair and you say, hey, one more time, that's cool. He could do it. He lived. There was no suicide dive. There's nothing like that.
No.
I mean, but if you're looking at this just from a standpoint of, let's say you paid $200 for this, was it worth it? I mean,
probably not.
I would say no. No, it wasn't. I mean, because to be honest, again, and this is just 100% with what it was. This is nothing against Ric Flair. I love Ric Flair. He's fantastic. Without him, the business would be absolute shit. But this match, it was just guys selling for an old guy. It was guys just standing there doing stuff for him. He would do the chops, and it looked like your grandpa when he's teasing you. When he's like, "Oh, what's up, Sonny?" That's really what it looked like. It didn't look like anything that was in any way intimidating or imposing or threatening. He didn't look like a threat at all in there. But I mean, he's still the Nate. He's still Ric Flair. You still love him. And I mean, the fact
that right there also, a lot of the old wrestlers, coming there. That was cool. A lot of big rivalry, big good matches with Bret Hart. So that was cool. And he's talking so much shit on Bret Hart, and then going, take that back and all of that. So the relationship at least is good, I think, right now.
Yeah, I mean, at least today on July 31st, 2020. His relationship is good with Bret Hart. But tomorrow it might be different. But yeah, like you said, all these guys are there and stuff, and then he makes this, he gets on the microphone and he pretty much...
Look at Taker. He wants to leave. He's like, can we leave?
Yeah, they're done. The daughter's probably like, can we go? This is bullshit. And Mick is probably like, can we go? This is bullshit. And then he's like, all right, I'll take you kids out of here. But I mean, no, Flair makes the speech hey, all his kids are here. He's like, yeah, in the roast, they said I had 5 wives. And yeah, I did. But, all my kids from those wives are all here. And, we didn't see Charlotte or Ashley, whatever they want to call
camera,
her.
But she was
I didn't see her or anything. And, he makes the speech just kind of almost, like he did it, going out his way and everything, not that the first time. I guess he's talking about WWE. Wasn't special or anything, but, this is his time, his way. And, it was good for him. But like I said, the one thing was it good for the fans? Are people going to go back and they're going to go, man, I enjoyed this? Or is this you're going to watch it and be like, ugh, and then you're gonna go to the network or Peacock or wherever
Probably,
and watch
if you want
WrestleMania
like the last
24.
match for for a good wrestling match, I will go with Shawn Michaels, because that was still, a Flair that could go.
That's what I'm saying. This is just wasn't
just, hey, let me go my way. Let me like sell for me. Do everything for me. It's like pay tribute to me. It's not gonna be a masterpiece, but it's just like, hey, at least I can do it one more time. So it's like more like I want to do it for myself, not even for the fans. It's just like I want to do it for me. So that's what it was, and I feel that, like you said, at least he leaves Ric Flair like it can be like the greatest career probably in pro wrestling, also alongside for me the Undertaker. And he says that he's actually has 21 World Heavyweight Championships, it's not 16. So there you go. And this is what it was. At least he also has like a brand new son-in-law in Cien Almas, so he was able to be with him. So good. I think the Nature Boy closes his career. Now he can finally. He said he was gonna go party with Kid Rock, and he, in knowing Kid Rock, like he's flipping the bird to somebody. That's what it was. So family, thank you so very much for being with us throughout this whole weekend. We appreciate you. Don't forget, we have the NXT UK video with Ilya Dragunov and Wolfgang. We have SummerSlam, everything that happened. And right now you guys can see the Ric Flair Nature Boys last match. Are we going to say thank you? I wouldn't want to say that because I said thank you already when the match was Shawn Michaels. That was like the way that they should have been handed out. But now this is just for me. Like you said, if you give me, in Paul's way of doing analogies, I will say that like you give me like a great dessert, and 5 days later you give me the same one, but it's a little like rotten. That's the only thing I can say about that. But anyway, at least Ric Flair lives in his own terms. That's what we
have. I mean, I would say like this, the first retirement was for the fans. That was a great retirement. It was awesome. That had storyline, that had everything. This retirement here was for Ric Flair.
Yeah, exactly.
This wasn't for us. It was for him. But I mean, hey, he deserves it.
He deserves it because at least how many moments we can tell Ric Flair entertained us, did everything until this night. He tried to. Did he accomplish it? Maybe not. But hey, you know what? We appreciate the effort. And also before we go, just say that like after the match, he was checked by like 2 doctors. They said everything's good. He's doing fine. Go have fun. Maybe find another wife. That's the life of Ric Flair family. Thank you so very much to every single one of you. Don't forget, we'll come back with more content. Let us know what you guys want to see. And where can they find us?
And follow us all on all of our social media. Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok. And of course, right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
And you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...